Hey everybody, welcome back to Board Game Blender. Thank you for joining us. Today's episode is called Lucky Dog. You know, luck is an interesting subject. It's a fascinating subject to me. I think of luck, well, first of all, I think of, when I say luck, I simply mean randomness. I don't necessarily believe that someone, while rolling, a die or something, can actually have bad luck. So let's say, these two dice, I might get worse numbers than you rolling them 100 times, but that's not luck. That's simply randomness. But I think luck in games, randomness in games, is a powerful tool. It's an interesting tool that allows game designers, to do really interesting things. I think luck in controlled amounts can give a game lifeblood, can give a game an interesting sense of, it makes the game feel alive somehow. It makes that game behave somehow. And so I think using luck in games, and using luck smartly in games, is a very interesting choice and a very powerful agent to making a good game. Today you're going to be hearing lots about luck in games, good, bad, dice, cards, all sorts of good stuff. So, without further ado, let's get to it. I hope you enjoy the show, and I will see you at the tail end. Have a good one.
Hi everybody! To me, luck is a key factor in the fun of a game. Don't get me wrong, I adore many a game that has perfect knowledge, whether it's a Euro, card game, or abstract. But for me, luck adds that little extra zing of the unknown that makes a game a bit more thrilling. Of course, if luck was all there was to a game, we'd all be sitting around playing War. So, as you'll probably hear from other contributors, the key is luck mitigation. These are the little things that game designers add to games to help you feel like you have some control over the cards and the dice. Now, I could go on and on about luck, so to constrain myself for this episode, I decided to focus on one core luck mitigation mechanic in a few of my favorite space-themed games. Why? Well, because space is awesome. In Roll for the Galaxy, you have the ability to delegate a die, which allows you to set aside one die in order to use another one under any phase. The best part is that the die you use to trigger the delegation doesn't count as being used, so it comes back for free to be rolled again next round. While there is the trade-off of not getting a payoff from the delegation die, this mechanism helps make sure that every roll is at least somewhat productive for you. In Star Realms, like other deck builders, you can thin your deck slowly, or quickly if you're lucky, by removing cards from your deck, thereby increasing the chance that you'll get the stronger cards in your hand next draw. In Star Realms, this is called scrapping, and when I play, I try to do it as often and as early as possible. So while you'll never conquer the luck of that market, at least you can mitigate the luck of your draw. Like Roll for the Galaxy, in Alien Frontiers, you need a way to control the faces of those dice to ensure you have options after you roll. This game uses alien tech cards that you can obtain and use to manipulate the dice. Of course, getting the tech cards isn't always a given, but knowing the value that they can add before you play helps make choices in-game to grab some when you can, because by giving you a way to tick the dice up or down or flip a face, these tech cards become powerful allies against a poor dice roll. I think that there's probably an interesting discussion about luck as just a rebranding of probability or randomization. But here's my little secret. I'm, at best, an average gamer. So while some of my great game-playing friends can sometimes poo-poo luck as a destroyer of optimization and strategy, I view it as an equalizer. Now, I'm no Jeff Engelstein, so the following statements are just kind of my gut feel on this. But for me, a game that has a good luck factor can actually balance it for a new player against an experienced player. Luck is also that thing that can nudge you to stretch your tactical flexibility on top of your strategic planning. And luck is that element of the unknown, that thing that can never be fully controlled, that can change an optimization exercise into a nail-biting stand-up dice roll. And that sounds like fun to me. See you next time.
Look, I know this is the episode's called Lucky Dog, but I promise this isn't what Zee meant. Okay? So you can't be in this one. I'll get you in again. No, I know, I don't care that David doesn't want you in the show. We'll get you in again, okay? Alright, go on. Go on. Hey friends of Blend, thanks for watching another episode of Board Game Blender. We're here in our 5th episode, and as you know by now, we're talking about luck in games and how that combines with skill or knowledge and what the right balance is. And for me, I definitely enjoy a mixture of the two in games. Now, you know, there are some games that are heavy in luck that I like, such as Zombie Dice. That's a very luck-heavy game. I really enjoy that one. The only real skill involved there is deciding whether or not you're going to roll another turn to push your luck to try to get those extra brains. I do like some games that are real heavy in the skill or the knowledge, such as Timeline. That one is almost entirely knowledge-based, with the only luck there being the cards that you draw off the top of the deck. The cool thing with luck, though, is that while you don't usually want a lengthy game that is full of luck and is just so out of your control as far as what happens, luck can still be very thrilling in a board game. It's really, a lot of times, that's what makes the best moments in games. That's what people remember the most, is that die roll at the end of a game that pretty much seals the deal. A game that I feel combines luck and skill really well is Small World. In Small World, combat is completely deterministic, which means you know the outcome of the combat prior to actually engaging. The luck is completely taken out of the equation there. And all of the combat comes down to your tactics and how you move your units around the board, for the most part. Let's look at this right here. Let's say you got these 3 rat men and you want to come down and take this guy out here. No problem. You just take your 2 guys and you know you've got them. And that region's yours. You still have the one you left behind. But let's say instead, if you wanted to come up here and take these 2 guys out right here, well, you still got to leave a guy behind to keep your region, right? So now you don't have enough. You don't have enough to take that, and so what you have to do is now you introduce some luck to the mix. And right here you use this die to get reinforcements 1, 2, or 3, and when you roll this die you got a 50-50 shot, because right here you need 1 more. So you got a 50-50 shot of getting it. And I got it. So man, when you do that in a game, even when you're going for just the one reinforcement, a 50-50 shot, it's still so exciting when you hit that one bit of luck there. You take these guys out, and that's yours when it wouldn't have been otherwise. And what's even more exciting, though, if you went down this way, you pull the end around, you take this guy out with these 2 guys here. Then now you say you want that over there, but you can only use 1 guy. You need 3 more. You got to get to 3. A 1 out of 6 shot. And you roll it, and more times than not, that's what's going to happen. You're not going to get it. But man, if you do roll that 3 and you take those 3 guys out with just 1 of your guys, it's such an exciting moment in a game. So that's it for me this week. Hope you enjoyed the segment. If you did, please look me up on my own channel and look me up on BGG. I'm on there as well. And until next time, if you're bored online, bored offline.
Hey everybody, for today's Under the Radar segment, we are taking a look at a game called Quirky. Now, to be fair, Quirky has actually not been released in the American market, but the game does have English rules. You can find this and play it right out of the box. It's got, like I said, English rules in it, and the game is really quite simple to figure out. You can play with just about anyone. The reason, obviously, I'm highlighting the game in this episode is because Quirky is a game in which you are rolling a hand of dice and then trying to make connections on a board. The board looks like this, and the game has a very simple Yahtzee mechanism, but I think it takes that Yahtzee mechanism, which is pretty much all luck, and takes it a step further, which I think is a common thing you see these days, right? Where classic games used to be all about that randomness, all about that luck. And games have started to incorporate that into strategy. Now, don't get me wrong, this game it's a very lucky, very simple game, but I do like where it takes that Yahtzee mechanism. Let me show you a little bit how this works. Basically, as you see on the board here, you have different spots, and each spot can be obtained with one of your player pieces, which are these nice chunky wooden bits, by rolling a specific combination. As you can see on the board here, 3 of a kind right there. You have a pair of 2s, full house. Let's flip this over so you see a little roof on the house. full houses. This is a Yahtzee spot, so 5 of a kind. And 4 of a kind, a straight is these green ones. And so, there you go. So the idea is, you are on your turn going to roll the dice. And you actually, in this game, have a bunch of rolls. You can roll up to 5 times in this game. And so if I roll, and I'm just going to roll 1 time here, and I get a pair of 2s. Let's say after 5 rolls, that's the best thing I got, that's the one thing I wanted. Well, I can take one of my pieces and I can put it on the 2 here, right there, pair of 2s. I would put my piece right there. Then it'd be the next player's turn. They can roll 5 times or up to 4 re-rolls, right? Go anywhere they can. The idea is to get on this table here 4 in a row. So quattro being 4 in a row. You can do it however you want to. But the next twist is that if I want to take a spot from someone, if I do it in fewer rolls than the maximum allowed, being 5. So if someone rolls a pair of 5s here in 4 rolls or fewer, well, they can go on top of me. They could just go right there on top of my piece, and now they control that spot. I no longer control that spot. If I want it back, if I roll a pair of 5s in 3 rolls or less, well, guess what? It's mine again. And so on. And so, very quickly, you get into these cutthroat fights in this game. The game looks cute, it looks friendly, it is mostly friendly, but the board doesn't look tight, right? And yet right away you get into these fights for space. And you get into these roll-offs where, ooh, I got one more roll if I actually want to go on top of your piece there. So a very neat game. One I think is definitely not getting enough attention. One that I think would be a great family game. A great game to pull out at a friend's get-together. Something light. Something with very few components. And, you know, I wanted to highlight it today because I do think it's worthy of your attention. So if you're looking for an interesting game, it's sort of an evolution of Yahtzee, an interesting variant of Yahtzee, well, I recommend you give Quattro here a try. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Boop, 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 boop.
Hey folks, welcome to Corner Chat. I'm Mark, and today we're talking about luck. And with us we have a very special guest, Ignacy Trzewiczek from Portal Games. You may know him from games like Imperial Settlers, The Witcher, and so many others. Welcome to the show, Ignacy. Really good to have you here.
Welcome. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here.
So when dealing with luck, or designing with luck in mind, does luck work better in certain types of games as opposed to others?
Basically, I love games, and I love dice in games. So I love luck. I love rolling dice and looking what happened from this role. And designers try to put a luck element in the games in so many different ways. In most cases by dice, and we have Stefan Feld with Castles of Burgundy, so this Euro game, difficult Euro game, and yet it has a dice. We have a designers who wants to create some emotions and crazy emotions like in Escape when you're rolling dice in real time, and it's a completely different experience. And a lot of luck because you want to try and have this result. You have a King of Tokyo, designer Richard Garfield make players push your luck mechanism, and you roll the dice and you don't know what would happen, so you want to roll, and that kind of stuff. So with luck and with the dice, designers use these elements to provide very different emotions and very different experiences. And with Robinson Crusoe, which is a very heavy strategy game, players roll the adventure dice or roll the weather dice, and they're really scared what will happen, and they don't know, and they have to prepare for different outcomes of the roll. So the luck makes us give us the challenges, and I love it in the games.
Oh, okay. So do you find that luck will undermine strategy in games, or is there experiences around luck that create moments of strategy?
There's a great example of Neuroshima Hex, which is a strategy game, and yet it has a lot of luck element because in your round you draw from 30 tiles, you draw only 3 tiles, so you never know what will happen. And from these 3 tiles you have to act as smart and as good as possible. So this luck draw challenges you. And this is what I love in luck. A few months ago I wrote a post about how luck elements challenge the best players, and they cannot predict what will happen. So when they have this random roll or random tiles, they have to figure out what's the best now to do. And Neuroshim Hex is a great example, and we have many different examples that luck can help players to prove they're really good players, because with very random situations they can act better than other guys. So I love that.
So what are some other mechanics that you find are great companions for luck, and what are some of your favorites?
The most common example of luck in games is luck of draw. I have here Imperial Settlers, and when you draw a card, you never know what will happen and which cards you will draw. And players like to, in Magic the Gathering, the old great game, when players deck build their decks, so they put the cards they want in the deck, and they draw these cards, and they have to prepare for the strategy. So I believe there's so many different ways to introduce luck into the games, and card games are one of the greatest examples. And I love card games. I have all of these LCGs almost at home, and I play Game of Thrones, and I play Imperial Settlers, I played Warhammer Invasion, and all of these games have this amazing replayability because of their luck of a draw. You never know what card will be in your hand at this particular moment, and you play them, try to make something interesting from that, and then the next game you play, you shuffle the cards, and the cards will be different in your hand. So these are luck element card games, and I really love it, and my wife Mary loves it too. So we play a lot of card games because they provide us this luck element. You never know what cards you will draw, and then with these random cards you have to do your best, and I really love it.
Definitely feel the same way. All right, well, it's been great having you on the show. Tell folks where they can find more information about Portal Games.
You can find more about Portal Games, of course, at the website portalgames.pl. We have a vlog, so you can see me talking about our releases, our ideas, our shoutouts for fans, and all that stuff. I am very active on Twitter, so you can find me on Twitter. And so basically go to portalgames.pl and find our YouTube channel, find our Facebook page, find my Twitter channel, and basically you can find me at Gen Con, you can find me at BGGCon. Have fun. Greetings. Thank you for having me, guys. Have a good show. Bye-bye.
Well, folks, thanks for joining us today. And again, a big thanks to Ignacy for being on the show. And so until next time, we'll see you at the table.
It's Maggibot here for The Blend, and today we're talking about luck in board games. When it comes to two-player card games, there's a delicious critical mass point where you have to decide, am I losing or winning this game? Now this happens about midway through a game where you really feel like either your board state has developed, you have creatures, corporations with ice, you've got goblins, whatever it is, everything is developed the way you like, or that everything you've attempted has failed, everything you've put out has been killed, and you're feeling a little behind the pressure of the game. Now when you're winning, it's really about clamping down, playing around the things that your opponent could do to get rid of what you've built. So if you know that your opponent could wipe out all your creatures, maybe you hold one back in your hand. If you know your opponent could get around your ice, maybe you have your next piece of ice planned that will prevent them from doing so. You really need to make sure you're not playing too loosely, because as the person in a dominant position, you're more likely to play looser and less strategic because you kind of feel on the prowl. Now, as the person in the losing position, you want to take advantage if they're playing loosely and kind of doing stuff without thinking and playing an autopilot. You want to make sure you exploit mistakes, but you also want to play to the luck of the deck. Card games, two-player card games especially, are all about drawing cards out of this deck that you've built. You've built 60 cards or 30 cards or whatever the game dictates. Now you've built the answers into the deck, and as a player you need to evaluate how likely is it that I'm going to draw the answer I need out of my deck before the game ends. So if I have a spell in my hand that deals damage to either a creature or a player, and that player is attacking me with 2 creatures per turn, I need to determine whether or not it's better to kill off a creature and live a few more turns, or hurt the player and hope that I draw a spell that will eliminate all their creatures from the board. If I drew that spell, eliminated all their creatures, and I dealt them some damage in the process, I'm going to have a better board state than I would have if I had only eliminated one of those creatures until I found the board wipe. And that's really the key to winning, is evaluating how likely it is that you draw that board wipe and playing to your strengths, playing toward the win rather than just elongating the loss. So I hope this is interesting. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks, and thanks for watching.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Real Talk with Sam. It has been a great couple of weeks interacting with some of you guys on the different social media websites. This episode of The Blender, we are talking about luck and the factor that it can be in many games. So what I'd like to do is take a look at a bunch of different games. Well, not a bunch, a few games that incorporate dice. Now, the first kind of luck-based dice rolling game that I'd like to talk about here is Quarriors. And with Quarriors, I would actually lump in the more popular nowadays Dice Masters. Quarriors and Dice Masters, I think, have a relatively high luck mechanic in them, because when you pull those dice out of the bag, you got one roll, and yes, there are some of those dice that let you re-roll, but by and large, that one roll is the one roll that you get. If you like chucking dice and you like the luck aspect, Quarriors is definitely down your alley, and so is Dice Masters. You should probably go check them out. The reason I put both of these on the same category or the same level is because they use the same dice rolling mechanics. The one that I call the Yahtzee mechanic. You roll your dice, then you can choose some to keep, then you roll them again, you choose more to keep, and you have that last time where you can try to get exactly what you're getting, and if you don't, oh well. If you do, hooray. Now, Dice Town has a little bit of a twist on that mechanic. They roll the first one and they get what they want, and that first roll they can say, I'm keeping all my dice, boom. Everybody else only has one more roll. So there is a little bit of a twist to it with Dice Town, which I actually like. Choosing, you know, that initial roll and the decisions you make after that initial roll really can make or break you. Sure, there's going to be that guy that rolls five spades every single turn. And quite frankly, that guy needs to stop cheating. Let me tell you right now, people, stop cheating in games. It's horrible and it's despicable. Have fun. Don't be so concerned with winning. Okay? The last category of games that I'd like to talk about today that have dice as a luck mechanic in them is going to be represented by this bad boy right here, Memoir 44. Memoir 44 is a game where the dice are used for combat resolution. The dice have silhouettes on them of different troops that you're trying to hit. So if you're shooting at infantry, you need to roll infantry silhouettes. If you're shooting at tanks, you need to roll tank silhouettes. So luck in Memoir 44, yes, it's there. I'm not going to combat that. But what I am going to say is that I think good decision making can mitigate a lot of that luck away. Can luck, quote unquote, truly be mitigated in a game? There's always going to be that element. You can plan and plan and plan and plan. You roll the die, you draw the card, whatever it might be. Somebody else plays a card on you. There's nothing you can do about that. That's why it's a game. It's a game. So have fun. Whether you're playing Dice Town, King of Tokyo, King of New York, Quarriors, Dice Masters, or Memoir 44, you have to make right decisions. Engage yourself in the game, accept the luck factors for what they are, and determine to enjoy it. Well, that's about it for Real Talk with Sam. I want to thank you guys for joining in once again. And like I always say, I'm just trying to keep it real, folks.
Hi everyone, I'm Justin from Grizzly Gaming, and this is Two Player Pals. On this week's segment, we're going to be talking about luck. the pros, the cons, and how to best deal with it in our games. Now, personally, I like a good amount of luck in games that are already very luck-oriented, such as a lot of dice games and a lot of card games. Now, I like that in those types of games because I like that feeling of the tension that the luck brings to you, and whether you might need that exact card or you don't know when a die roll might come up and get you exactly what you need. But in a lot of those types of games, they give you ways to mitigate that luck factor, or at least push the luck factor in your favor. Now, one of the best games that came out of last year's Gen Con, which is Imperial Settlers, has a really good way of doing this, like a lot of other games, but it has a really smart way of doing it, which is not only allowing you to get more cards, but there are multiple ways of doing that action of getting more cards. So for instance, in the first phase of the game, which is the lookout phase, you will be seeing in a 2-player game 3 cards drafted one direction and then another 3 cards drafted another direction over the course of the 5 rounds. So if that's 6 cards per round and there are 5 rounds, you'll be seeing a minimum of 30 cards out of the main common deck. But you have to keep in mind that because the main common deck is a lot more than 30 cards, you will not be seeing every card out of the common deck. This is important to keep in mind because you're not going to be seeing everything. You need to have the capabilities of either drawing more cards so you can see more of those cards and thus have more options, or you want to try to push with whatever strategy you are using at the time and have better adaptability later on by taking cards from the main deck or from your faction deck, which strictly only you use. Now, a way to help mitigate the luck in your favor is by making deals and destroying buildings, on top of also making specific building cards that allow you to get more cards. So some specific deals allow you to not only get resources and other workers, but they also allow you to get more cards during the production phase. Other cards out of the main deck, for instance like the castle and the watchtower, also allow you to get more cards, whether they be from the production phase or by spending a worker or other resources to then gain more cards, regardless of where they come from, the common deck or the faction deck. Do bear in mind though that some cards in the faction deck or in the common deck will also specify what deck they take more cards from, so you want to keep this in mind when you're playing the game. Another thing that you can really utilize to your advantage when trying to gain more cards during the game is by denying your opponent from getting those cards as well. So if you are destroying your opponent's buildings, for instance by using a race token to destroy a building, and you gain resources, and let's say that resource happens to have 1 or 2 cards that you will gain, if you take it from the common deck, not only have you destroyed your opponent's main building from their common area, and even though they gain a resource, it's not a huge benefit for them, but you will also be denying them whatever cards they will be gaining from the common deck. So this is a double-edged sword for them, and it's nothing but a win-win type of situation for you. So, if you enjoy the show or you happen to have any questions for me, please let me know. I hope to answer any and all of them as they come in. You can find me on BoardGameGeek.com under the username Grizzly Archer. Take care and happy gaming. Bye.
So when you guys come to your favorite game store, like we're doing right here, and I'm at the Rock tonight, which is the game store that us at the Dice Tower, we play at every Tuesday night. The first thing you see when you walk into that store is Magic the Gathering. It's the first thing that I see when I walk into the store. It's not really a board game. It's more of a card game, collectible as it is, but still it's designed by one of the premier designers of our age, who is Richard Garfield. We're talking about luck, and he actually did a talk about luck on the Magic Cruise that he did a few years ago. You can watch that online. You can see how he talks about luck versus skill in games. So some of his games, which really bring a lot of luck versus skill, obviously Magic, you have 2 different levels of luck in Magic. The first level of luck is when you buy the cards, what you're going to get in the pack. That is big, big luck. The reason I don't like collectibles is because of that, but you can mitigate that luck if you just spend the money and buy the individual cards from your favorite local store. On the other hand, there's also the luck of the deck. So when you actually build your deck, you get the luck of shuffling the cards and bringing that into your deck. 2 very inventive ways to use luck in a game. He also brings luck into games like King of Tokyo and King of New York, another one of his designs which is completely different than Magic. In this case, he brings the luck with the dice. So he brings a Yahtzee type of mechanic where the more dice you use, the more luck you have. And he's bringing Yahtzee, rolling the dice, getting the monster claws, getting the lightning bolts for the energy to buy cards. There's a lot of luck in that as well. Well, another one of his games, which is my personal favorite game of his, Robo Rally, actually has very little luck. Robo Rally is a game where the luck is more, are you going to outguess your opponent? So when you look at Richard Garfield, he brings all different levels of luck, whether it's from King of Tokyo to Robo Rally to Magic. But either way, if you're looking for someone who brings luck and also brings amazing design, Richard Garfield from Magic the Gathering.
Hey everybody, for today's Quirky Game I want to show you an older Dominic Earhart game, which is very simple, called Montgolfiere. Or at least that's how I think you say it, that's how I say it. The game is very beautiful, done with artwork done by the designer himself, and it has a balloon racing theme. As you can see, that is the board there. It's really quite a stunning board. And you are racing balloons. Each player has a balloon token, and you are trying to go to the moon with it, as you can see right there, the moon. And everybody's going to start on one of these spots, and everybody has a deck of cards, an identical deck of cards, from which you are going to, you're going to shuffle it up, and you're going to draw a hand of cards. You'll have just a few in your hand. The rest of the deck sits on the table, and every time every player picks a card, we simultaneously play a card. We see what happens, and then everyone draws a card back up to have their full hand size. And so the cards are very simple. We have numbers here. So 6, 4. The cards go all the way from 1 to 15, the highest. Besides that, we also have this anchor. There's a few of those in the deck, which means you're going to throw that. If you play that card and someone above you, the level right above you, moves with their balloon while you've tethered to them and you're moving as well. And the numbers, whoever plays the highest number will move up. There's also a couple of other things. A storm card here, which I think is actually a stunning looking card. And if there's an odd number of these played, anybody who would move up instead moves down because of the storm. Sleeping gas here, which will knock out anyone below you. And we have an engine, which just seems like cheating, but whoever plays the engine gets to move up 2 spaces. The storm against this just affects it by basically having the person move up 1 space. Now be aware the movement with the balloon numbers and the engine are independent, so multiple people will move that turn. So here's the thing that I think is interesting about this game. The game, like I said, is very light, very simple, but would the game remain light and simple if every player had the entire deck in their hand? So if instead of having a few cards in my hand, I had my entire deck in my hand, every number, every hook, the engine, the storms, and we all play simultaneously still, is that luck? Can I account for everyone having the perfect amount of cards, having every card I have? Will the game be different? Should I be more careful about what I play, knowing that everyone has every card? Is it a bluffing game only at that point? Is it just about reading my opponent? Have I eliminated luck? Or is simultaneous play in and of itself luck? I think it's a very interesting question. I should say I have not tried playing that way because I think it would simply slow players down, but it does make for an interesting idea and a curious exercise that I wonder if it would make a difference. There's another game which sort of gives me a similar dilemma. This game here, Rosenkönig, this is a classic, a Durkheim classic. And in this game you have 5 cards which allow you to play tokens on a board. And the game says they go face up in front of you. So your opponent knows everything you could possibly play, as do you. But I don't think I've ever played that way. I've always played with the variant where those 5 cards, or up to 5 cards, are just simply being held in your hand. And you know what? The game is still excellent. I still really enjoy it. I think it's it has a sense of drama and mystery again versus I don't know. I think putting those cards face up out there robs the game a little bit of what could be thematic, an attack, something you did not see coming. It's a game about controlling land, territories, you know, armies clashing. The game is basically abstract, but I like not knowing. I like not knowing if the move I just made was suboptimal, but it felt right. And I think that's how I like to approach that simultaneous play, that randomness, that adjusting what's happening to my plan. And I guess that's why I love tactics, and I would consider myself a fan of tactics and not as big a fan of strategy. Tactics being reactions and strategy being a long-term plan. So there you have it. Just a little, some musings and some ramblings about Montgolfiere and a little bit about Rosenkönig. These games are both probably a little hard to find, but they're interesting. And, well, if you come across them, check them out. See ya.
Hey guys, Tiff here, and this week I wanted to talk about the role luck has played in getting my middle school board game club going. When I first started choosing games to play with the kids, I wanted themes and mechanisms that had an appeal to a wide age range. If you include me, we have members age 11 through 33, as well as a variance in experience level. Some of the kids, this is their first time playing hobby board games. For others, it's just a regular part of their family's routine. So how can I possibly choose games that fit everyone's needs? The answer is luck. Luck is an equalizer that makes it possible for some of the newer or younger players to have a shot at winning the games. Sure, we've had the talk about how winning isn't everything in Board Game Club, but let's face it, if winning were never a possibility, I wouldn't have too many repeat customers. Truly, just the slightest chance of being able to beat their teacher brings many of the kids coming back week after week. Here are a couple of the lucky games that have become popular in our group. Maggibot is a light dice rolling game in which you take on the role of a mayor, trying to build up your quaint little town into a prospering metropolis. Turns are short and sweet. Roll the die or dice, activate any buildings in your tableau that have a matching number, then build a landmark or a building from the central supply. There are 4 types of buildings. The much beloved blue cards allow you to collect money on anyone's turn. The green cards only activate when you roll the dice. The red cards are kind of mean and let you steal money from the other players. And the purple cards are powerful special buildings. My kids have a lot of fun discovering which combination of buildings will earn them money the fastest. Because ultimately the game is a race to be the first mayor to construct all 4 landmarks: the train station, the shopping mall, the amusement park, and the radio tower. It's a great lesson in basic engine building that nearly anyone can learn and play in a snap. Next up is Las Vegas, a fantastic dice rolling game with just the right mix of tactics, interaction, and luck to keep kids engaged and having fun the entire time. In the game, you're gambling at 6 different casinos, each corresponding to a specific die face. Taking turns, you chuck your dice and select one type to place on a matching casino. For instance, if I rolled these 2 3s, I would place both of them on the number 3 casino. Once everyone's placed all 8 of their dice, the player with the majority at each casino is rewarded with the highest money card next to that casino. The rule that keeps things interesting is that tied players get nothing, so there can be a little bit of take that and a whole lot of table talk as players maneuver to avoid ties or even cause them. After playing as many rounds as the number of players, the kid with the most cash wins. And I say kid because I have yet to win against my dear students. But the game is quick and more addictive than a slot machine, so I'm sure I'll have plenty more opportunities to try. What I like best about both of these games is they have strategic choices that allow the kids to experiment with what works and what doesn't. Because of the luck, they're forgiving enough to keep all of the players in contention even if someone makes a suboptimal choice. And like most of the games we play, these are just as fun for adults as they are for kids. So give them a try, and I'll see you back next time.
A better man than I once said, racing is rubbing. I'm not sure what that means. I thought racing was, you know, moving in something really fast and trying to get ahead of the other guy and crossing some sort of finish line first. But like I said, a better man said that. And so when I think of racing, I think luck. I think betting, gambling, not quite in my control. And so today, board games meet ... race day. Our first stop, the stables. as we play Long Shot, game where you're going to be trying to spend some money to make more money, buying horses, betting on them, and if that doesn't work and you're leaving it all up to luck, you can always just go and cash in Grandma's dividend check, because you need those $10. Hello, Nana? No, I would never do that to you. How about a little less luck and a little more control, while still using animals for our entertainment? In that case, I recommend Snow Tales. In this one, you'll be playing the cards, and you'll be telling your dogs to pull you along those frozen wastes however you choose, Lord and Master.
Oh, no, my girl, I would never do that to you.
How about you still want animals to make idiots of themselves for your simple entertainment, but dogs hit a little too close to home? In that case, Camel Up is your game. In this one, you'll be hedging your bets, rolling dice, cheering them on as they crawl on top of one another, and if that doesn't say back-breaking labor for you and your lives, I don't know what does. What? I would apologize to the camel, but I don't have a camel here with me. So there you have it, racing and luck, hand in hand, as it should be. This has been Board Games Me ... And next time you find yourself behind the wheel in a racing strip, just close your eyes and see what happens.
Man, end of the game. I got one more turn. What do I need to get? Holy crap. 7 6s? I need my lucky stuff.
Hello, and welcome back to Retro Board Game Corner. In this episode, we're talking about luck. Now, in the games of the past, that's all they were just based on luck. You would just roll and move around the board. I got a game here for you. It's Planet of the Apes, published in 1974 by Milton Bradley. This is a roll and move dice game with a little bit of a twist. Let me show you. Okay, to start the game, every player is going to get 4 player pawns. Now, the object of the game is to have your color be the only remaining color on the board. Now, every turn you're going to roll 2 dice. So, every time you roll the dice, you have to take that many moves. You will choose 1 dice to move your own color, and the second dice will be to move an opposing color. The object is to try to get your opponents onto the captured space. Once they land on the captured space by exact count, you will move them up here on top of the cage, and potentially they will fall in the cage, and that piece is out of the game. So you move a person onto the captured space. You will turn this knob a couple of turns, and then the opposing player, whosever color that is, will push down on this button. That piece is now out of the game. Now, there is a way to keep your player pawns safe. If you end your turn by exact count on your own color square, your opponents cannot touch your piece at all. There is a way to get your own color off of the cage if you're running low on people. You have to roll the dice and you have to get your colored pawn onto the captured spot, and then what happens is that you will move everybody back to their starting positions. That way your guys are safe and the game can continue on. Game is over when only 1 color is left on the game board. So as you can see, there's really nothing much to this game. But let me tell you, it gets really tense when you're rolling the dice and you need an exact number to keep your people safe, and even when they're on the cage here to see if they're going to fall down or not. I was lucky enough several years ago to find this game at a thrift store still intact, which is very hard to do. Sometimes when I really don't want to think or strategize in a game, I like to play something like this, and it still can provide me with loads of fun. Well, join me next time when I showcase another great board game from the past. May your rolls be high.
That's a wrap, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate, as always, your viewership. Also, a big thank you to all the contributors, without whom there wouldn't be much of a show, though editing would be easier. Hopefully we'll see you again in 2 weeks, where we're going to be talking ghosts, beasties, and baddies. A monster episode, talking about games with cool monsters, games featuring ghosts and baddies, and maybe even games that bring out the monster in you. So, hopefully we'll see you then. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and stay a friend of the blend. See ya.